So this is a full guide, and through all of my testing, I found the best way to do each of these 4 things. That was 3, each of these 4 things. And it starts out with, first we need to come up with an offer that's actually gonna make you more money rather than less. It's not just about discounting your services. Then we're gonna move on to where to advertise. Everyone wants to know, is it Facebook, Instagram, Google, SEO, TikTok, Hulu, right? Everyone wants to know where to advertise. We're gonna go through that. Then we're gonna go through how to create an ad that can actually change your entire business and your life as well. Because nowadays it's not really about where you advertise, it's more about how you advertise in that place. And then finally, we're gonna go through how you can set yourself apart from the competition by having a better sales process, because everyone can get leads. Most people are getting leads right now, but not everyone is effectively turning those leads into sales. So the first thing that you want when it comes to getting more ceramic coating, PPF, tint sales is actually having a good offer, all right? And your good offer is not just discounting your prices, it's not to make you look like an amateur. Basically what it is you want to give as much value as you can to that customer while also giving them a reason to buy, all right? So new car buyers, they're usually going to have a reason to buy anyways to protect their vehicle. But if they're not someone who's, been thinking about this exclusively, like as soon as they, bought their car, they were thinking about getting protected, then they need to have some sort of reason for buying it instead of just waiting and putting it off, right? So what we do with a good offer is we give them a reason to buy, but we also give them a full package that's going to take care of all their problems. And a good offer really breaks down into 5 separate components. Now, the first component is actually the who of who are we selling to. So as you can see here, I have a picture of a new car, a new Bronco actually, and then, this is a car owner. And car sales are actually up about 13% year over year. As of, this quarter. And so basically who we're going after is new car owners, right? Because, older car owners, they're not going to be as incentivized to protect their vehicle. It may already be a bit damaged and a bit outdated, but a brand new car owner, they're going to be looking to protect that vehicle because they're going to be thinking about, how they like the way it looks and they want to use it for different things. So we're going to be talking to those people, right? And then we can actually look at the market share, different types of vehicles. So you can see SUVs, trucks, they are the biggest market share size, and then smaller cars are about half or a third of that. So we want to be targeting these bigger vehicle owners because those are the ones who are most likely to pay to protect their vehicle. So after we know the who, now the thing that we have to think about is the what. What's the core offer? And for this, it's going to be, you want it to be as much as you can sell basically, right? PPF, ceramic coating, window tint, anything else that's going to help them, enjoy their vehicle more and protect it. So like in this case, this is where we're going to actually start creating the special offer, right? So we might say, hey, when you get a full ceramic coating, we're going to give you, discount on window tint or a free detail. Or when you get, full PPF, we're going to give you a free ceramic coating on top, right? What it's going to do is provide more value for the customer, but it's also supposed to not really cost you anything else, right? That's what defines a really good, successful offer that can propel your business. So now that we actually have a core offer, we know what we're selling them. Now we have to distinguish ourselves from the competition because there's lots of other people that do these services, right? So what we're going to add in is bonuses, all right? So one of these really good, an example of this is like Ubering someone to and from the shop so it's easy to drop off and pick up their car to get the products installed, right? Because otherwise they have to think about that, they have to arrange things like that, a ride, and it's a headache. So you wanna make it as easy as possible. This is gonna distinguish you from your competitors, right? Another example is if you offer mobile detailing, you can have a membership program where you actually offer discount and details after they've had one of these high ticket services. You could give them a microfiber towel so they can maintain it themselves and a detail spray, put your logo on it, even install these stupid gimmicky wheel protectors that get terrible reviews. Just anything that's going to slightly add to the experience and improve the offer. Okay, so now that we have basically what our core offer is going to be, now we're going to add in a few factors that are going to make it easier to close deals. So the first thing is scarcity. This is basically saying that there's a limited amount of slots for this available, right? So, and if you think about it, I mean, your shop has a limited capacity, you have a limited capacity, so you can say, hey, there's only 10 spots left, right? I'm only going to do this offer for 10 people, especially if you're just using it as kind of a a loss leader, then you're only going to offer it to a certain amount of people. And that's how you can frame it. It's like a loss leader where it's only a few people, right? Then the other part of that is urgency. So you make it seem like this is something that is ending soon, right? If it's, hey, this is a Black Friday special, it's going to not last past Black Friday, so you need to make sure you buy this soon, right? Other than the natural urgency that's, when you have a new car, you want it to stay clean before it gets damaged and protect it before it gets damaged, we're adding in artificial scarcity as well to make it easier to close those deals and take down payments so people don't overthink things. Right, so the last and possibly the most important part of creating a good offer is actually the naming. And this is something I'm excited about because look at this. Normally you could sell a hamburger, $4, right? You might make $1 in profit. But when you bundle these things and create a nice name, the Big Mac meal, it becomes something you can charge a lot more money for. So an example over here, you'd have a ceramic coating for $1,000. But when you bundle it, like we were saying here, you add in bonuses, then you can charge a lot more. And you say, look, this is not a ceramic coating and window tint. This is the ultimate appearance package. All right. So it's all about how you present things. And this is the last and possibly the most important part of your special offer. Right, so the last thing that I'm going to talk about with the offer is just the value equation. We're going to quickly go over this. So this is what the basis of everything is built around, all right? So whenever someone buys something, they have a dream outcome, right? This is a new car buyer. They have a dream outcome of having a car that looks nice, it's easy to maintain, it stays protected. They have a perceived likelihood of achievement, i.e., do they think that the solution you're selling will actually give them that result? Time delay, how long will it take? This is less of a factor with us because it only takes, a few days to get the work actually done unless they have to wait, which is why if you have a really long lead time, it's going to be harder to close people. And then finally, the effort and sacrifice. So this is, how much work does it take? Is there a lot of effort involved? And a lot of money, all right? Because money is going to be a sacrifice. That is literally work that they're doing. So you'll hear me reference different parts of this, but this is what we're optimizing for. That's why we have all these different parts of the offer. So now we have to cover where should you advertise to get more ceramic coating, PPF, window tint jobs. And these are a few of the most popular options besides Hulu, obviously. But everyone offers Facebook, Instagram. A lot of people talk about Google Ads and SEO. Some people talk about TikTok, and then Hulu's one of those weird things that it's kind of getting popular now. But it's still not really an option for a local service business in this context. All right. So the thing I'm going to recommend is Facebook and Instagram. It's the most consistent, the easiest to get going. I mean, pretty much every area, as long as you have enough people around, you're going to be able to get results. Google, you need a lot more people in the area and it takes a lot more time to get started. So I'm going to walk you through creating a campaign for Facebook and Instagram. Okay, so to get more ceramic coating, PPF, window tint jobs, we're going to set up a lead campaign objective, and then you can leave basically all of this blank. It's not a special category, all right? And then we're going to go down to the ad set level, which is basically like the audience. But here you have the choice of all these different places where you want to get a conversion. Now, typically, I'm going to recommend you go for instant forms. That's what we do. They tend to work the best. If you have very little experience, you can go for messenger ads. And if you have more money than you know what to do with, you can go for website leads. So after we've set up our conversion location for the ad set, we're going to go down and choose our audience location. All right. So I've already typed in the address of my apartment. Please don't send bombs. Basically, you want to make sure that you have this number here at least 200,000. You're still going to struggle around 200,000, hopefully more like 300,000 or more. And as you can see here in the heart of Seattle, we have a 10-mile radius, which is giving us 1.2 to 1.4 million eyeballs there. And I mean, typically you want to keep this under 50 miles. I'd say 25 is a good, maximum. But you want to make sure, again, you have that good number of people to show your ad to. Otherwise, it's just going to be too expensive, and there's not enough new car buyers in the area to find them, right? And then the other thing is, there's a few more options down here. You can change the age. You can adjust the languages, other things. You really don't need to do this. The Facebook algorithm is so good at finding your ideal customers, especially because of the things we'll do later, which I'll show you, that you literally can just put the location, and it's going to do a better job of finding your ideal customers than you could with any interest, any age, or any location specifications, all right? Besides the big radius, you don't want to just be going and targeting, the wealthy areas, because it's going to give you too small of a population. So for ceramic coating, window tint, PPF jobs, you want to make sure you have multi-advertiser ads turned off, all right? They're going to recommend it. They're going to turn it on automatically when you make new ads. Always make sure it's off. I've tested it. It kills your ads. Basically what it does is it's like a carousel, and it'll show different products for like e-commerce. So if it's like shoes, a purse, a jacket, and then a ceramic coating. It makes zero sense. It might hit people when they're in the shopping mood, but they're obviously not gonna buy, within the first 5 minutes of seeing your product like they would from a website, all right? So you wanna make sure that is turned off. Now, we're gonna skip over what to actually put in your ad just for now, but I wanna draw attention to the call to action, because this is actually kind of important. Basically, you have a few different options. The most popular are gonna be get offer or get quote, all right? So get quote is gonna get you a lot more leads, right? Anyone who's interested in your service, they'll click get quote just because they wanna know what the price is. Get offer is going to have higher intent leads, right? It's people who are serious. They see the ad. They're like, all right, this seems like a good idea. Let's go ahead and claim it. And so you want to make sure, typically I always do get quote, and that's going to get you the most leads, but we'll qualify them later. So that's what I would recommend for the button, and make sure you change it so it's not just, book now or download or something that doesn't really makes sense for the process you're going to take them through. Now, the next thing we have to do if we're actually going to get more ceramic coating, PPF, tint jobs is if you're using a lead form, which I recommend instead of messages, we have to create a form. This is what's going to collect their information. But the cool thing is that they've recently added this thing called Rich Creative, all right? And what this does is it actually allows you to basically create a pamphlet for your entire business. Or a brochure, maybe I'll say that. So you can add in some, things about how it works, highlights, how we're different, and really talk about your product, your services, who you are, and show them a lot more so they can really get a feel for who you are just by clicking on this form really quickly and right before they submit their information to you. Now, the cool thing is that for vehicle protection services, we can actually add in questions that qualify people to what we want them to be, right? So essentially what we want them to is we want them to be a new car owner looking to protect their vehicle. So we can actually add in a question like this: how soon do you need to protect their vehicle? Typically what I write, just because the wording there is going to imply that it's something they need. And then we'll say, right away or as soon as possible. Any of these, like these two questions, right away or in the next month, boom, let's go. Let's take their information and let's sell them. But if someone says, they're not sure, they haven't decided in a few months, we can actually turn them away. And what I was saying about the targeting earlier is that's going to focus our ads to go to more people who answer the first two questions, right? Who pick the first two options, okay? And that's who we actually want to submit the form because they're the most likely to buy. Now, the next thing to do with this form, we have to ask the year, make, model of their vehicle. Obviously, if they have a brand new car or something made in the last couple of years, they're going to be a lot more likely to buy than someone who has an old box, right? So we want to make sure to ask them what the year, make, and model of their vehicle is. They'll be able to type it in. And then after that, they're going to come over to this page, which is their contact information. And the most important things you need are, first of all, their name. So when you pick up the phone and call them, you can actually address them and they don't think you're some kind of spammer. And then the phone number, which is also very important because that's the most powerful way to contact someone, especially over here in North America. So you need their phone number to actually get in contact with them, right? An email is going to be useless. That's why I recommend lead forms over messenger ads, because you can actually get their phone number, you can call them, whereas Facebook Messenger, you're at the mercy of whether or not they have notifications on. So after we have their information to call them about the special offer, we're also going to have to put in a privacy policy, and don't worry, I have one of these. I will include it for free at the end of this video. And then the end page, this one, I typically like to say, thanks, we'll reach out soon, because we want them to expect a text and a phone call from us. And then we'll also, I typically put give us a call now if you want to make sure you can get your spot, right? Because we're implying that there's some sort of scarcity and urgency for this. So we want them to feel like if they don't reach out now, they may miss out. And then we'll put call business and we'll put their phone number there. And that way you'll get calls from people who just submit the form. They say, hey, I just submitted this form. I wanted to call and make sure I could get a spot, right? Those people are much easier to close than someone who you have to reach out to manually. I mean, obviously most people don't have time to call you right away or don't feel like it, but those that do are going to be really easy to close. So now that we have the whole setup here for getting more ceramic coating, window tint, PPF jobs, we have the ad structure built out, we have the audience defined, we have the button and the form set up. We'll come back to the creative later, but there's two basic ways to actually make your creative. So you can do an image ad and you can do a video ad, all right? So I'm gonna recommend a video ad that works 2 to 3 times better in every single scenario, basically. But really quick, if you feel like running an image ad, that's all you wanna build, I'm going to run through what the best structure for that should be. Now, the other thing with ceramic coating and PPF and window tint ads is I would typically do some sort of carousel post, all right? Because if you're doing an image, you might as well add another carousel post because this isn't going in the reels. And so you can put in a video or another picture in the second slide or the third or the fourth or the fifth that's going to show kind of the benefits or the effects. So here we have, obviously ceramic coating, and you can see the benefits. So if someone just sees this first picture and they decide to swipe over, they'll get curious and they'll say, okay, this is clearly making a big difference. And even if they're just reading the ad copy, they'll be able to tell that whatever it is you're talking about actually makes a serious difference because it's clearly visible, right? Now for ceramic coating, a video ad is gonna do a lot better. Ceramic coating, PPF, and window tint. A video ad is gonna do a lot better. And here's one I created, so let's just check this out, all right?
If you've been waxing your car's paint, stop doing it. We detail dozens of cars every month, and we always tell the owner not to wax their paint. If you actually care about keeping your car looking nice and protecting it against the elements, wax will not do it. Instead, we have a new technology that's actually closer to having bulletproof glass on your vehicle. It's a one-time application that lasts 200 times longer, while also being 30 times more protective. And right now, to get the word out, we're giving a heavy discount for the first 10 customers who claim it. But our special offers usually fill up in a couple of hours, so make sure to click the button below right now to get your quote. I mean, why wouldn't you? It's free.
Okay, so don't worry, this ad, I'm gonna actually give you a very similar ad, if not this one, for free at the end of this video, but I'm also going to break down the process of creating this ad because there's actually a lot that goes into it. And the first part is going to be the hook. So whenever I'm creating new ideas for ads, I'm basically just thinking of hooks, right? Because the hook is where most of your money is going to go. Most people are only going to watch the first 1 or 3 or 5 seconds. And so you have to really get their attention in that time. So the first thing we have here, if you've been waxing your car's paint, stop doing it, all right? So what that does is it basically surprises them and it breaks their expectations. What we want is people who actually care about their vehicle, they're likely to be waxing their car's paint, so it should catch their attention, and it does, and then when it breaks their expectation, it makes them want to keep watching the video because they feel like there's something they don't know and that they need to know, all right? So there's fundamentally about 5 different types of hooks. Now there's a lot more, but I've tried to simplify it here. One of those hooks is going to be a story hook. So basically what this would be is when you're scrolling and you hear the beginning of a story or something that's, talking about a situation, that's going to actually interest you. It appeals to the primal part of your brain, which loves stories and storytelling. And so that's a really good way to hook people. It's a bit harder to work in this industry though. Another way you can hook people is using statistics and facts. So if you point out something that's surprising that people don't expect, or that's interesting, they'll want to stick around to figure out, to learn more about that statistic or see how it could affect them. Another example of a hook is going to be actually satisfying visuals, all right? So if we look at this, we've got some weird, I don't know what this thing is on the left, and then we've got someone cutting the brushes off of a brush. That's going to look satisfying, and just something that's an interesting visual is always going to hook people and get them to keep watching your video, all right? So you want to have that in basically every single ad that you can possibly have it. Another way to hook people is basically the problem and solution. So if you describe a problem that people actually experience, and if you can show it as well as they are in this one with the lady yawning, then people are going to look because it's implied that you're going to have a solution. And of course, in this ad, which is just a picture, they're going to have that solution at the bottom. So the hook is the first text that you read, at the top, and then the solution is down later. But when you read the hook, it's implied that there is going to be a solution. And now the final and my favorite hook is broken expectations. So if you see here, there's a picture of Anna de Armas, who you now know is actually a man, all right? So your expectations have been broken. You are now watching this video. And what we can see is that in this video, that's exactly what we're using. We're calling out people who've been waxing their vehicles, and then we're telling them to stop doing it. So they've already had their expectations broken. No one's really heard that wax is bad. And what we're implying is that wax is bad. Even though we don't actually say that, we say that there's a better solution. People, we're telling people to stop doing it, all right? So that's gonna get their attention and get them to keep watching the video. One more thing I wanna point out about this hook is we're weaving in a couple different of those types of hooks, right? So what we have here is a visual hook as well. So this is a super satisfying video. This one of the Tesla getting ceramic coated on some matte PPF or something like that. And this is a very satisfying visual hook. And then we also pair that with the curiosity and surprise hook, and that's why it works so well. And then you watch another couple seconds and there's a foam cannon here, which is also satisfying. This one of the dirt dripping off the car, that's also satisfying. This is satisfying. This is literally keeping people watching the video because they're listening to the words, but they're seeing all these visual cues that are keeping them watching, keeping them hooked, right? Now, after we have the video hook, we're gonna move on to what I call the reel. So the reel gives you a chance to do a few things. Here's a few listed here. So you can add credibility. You can talk about who you are and why that they should believe you, right? What you're saying. Then you can also talk about some of their pain points that they're experiencing and kind of relate to them. And then you can also relate to them on the dream outcome and what they're looking for. So if we take a look at this ceramic coating video, what we're gonna see is that it's actually going to say, we detail dozens of cars every single month. And that's going to lend credibility by saying that, hey, we do this a lot. We see this a lot. We know exactly what we're talking about. And we always tell the owner not to wax their paint. That's going to add some curiosity to this video as well. Then we say, if you actually care about keeping your car looking nice and protecting it against the elements, we're identifying with their dream outcome. We're saying, hey, if this is what you care about, then here's the solution, all right? So we're calling out our ideal customer. This goes along with the targeting, how you don't have to worry about targeting people's interests, because if people are interested in these things, they're gonna keep watching this video, and if they don't care about protecting their car, they're not going to keep watching the video, and we don't have to worry about spending our money with them, right? Spending our ad dollars on them. Okay, so now that you've hooked them on the video and you've reeled them in, now we get into the show. And here's a couple principles for the show. Firstly, new is better than better. So if you can introduce a new solution, that's going to hook people a lot more and get them more interested than something that's supposedly better. You can also use metaphors to explain things rather than actually explaining them, because people have a short attention span. Not sure if you've noticed, but you need to use a metaphor since it's going to capture their attention a lot more and allow them to imagine it better. And then finally, focus on the benefits. Don't go over, don't just talk about like, oh yeah, it's good for these reasons, but it's not so good for these reasons. Remember, you're selling something, you want to really hype it up, and then you go over some of the downsides when you're on the phone with them later. So for this video, what we have is, it's going to say, instead of using wax, we have a new technology. Remember, new is going to be better than better. And we have a metaphor here. We're basically saying this solution is like having bulletproof glass on your whole vehicle, and we literally are showing a bullet hitting glass, okay? And so what that's gonna do is basically give them an idea of what the solution is without having to explain everything about it, because we'll do that later on the phone when we have more time. These ads are supposed to be under a minute, like ideally like 30 seconds. So you don't want to actually get into the meat of it. You want to just show them with metaphors. And then here you're breaking down the amount of benefits. You're actually like showing the benefits and minimizing the downsides, saying it's a one-time application. It lasts way longer than wax, and it's a lot more protective. All right. And because we're comparing it to wax, it's just gonna sound amazing when you can actually give big numbers like that. Okay, so finally at the end of our ad, we're going to have the close is what I call it, right? So with the close, typically you wanna follow some structure like this or have these elements. First you have the offer, so you're gonna break down what you're actually giving them. Then you're gonna add some scarcity and urgency, so you can see limited time offer, get it before it's gone, limited spots, stuff like that. And then you're gonna dingle the carrot. So you're gonna say, here's what we're gonna give you if you take an action. So we're gonna say, in this instance, it's gonna be get a free quote. That's typically what gets people the most interested. And then we're gonna tell them exactly what to do to get that carrot, all right? Press, hit the enter key on your keyboard, click the button right there, and I'm gonna show you what that looks like in the ad. So we're here back with the ad, and what we're gonna see is right now to get the word out, we're giving a reason for the special offer. And we're gonna say for the first 10 customers, so we're adding scarcity there. And we're also saying our special offers fill up quickly. So urgency, we're adding scarcity first and then urgency by saying it fills up quickly. And then we're telling them exactly what to do. Click the button below right now and get your quote, all right? And then that's just a little goofy thing. Why wouldn't you? It's free, all right? So writing the video is really the part that takes the longest. And now you can either edit the video or record it yourself. So here is a video I made a while back. This is literally selfie style. You could do this or get someone else to record you. And then you can see I put some B-roll over, but it really doesn't have to be complicated. I mean, a video like this is gonna actually build trust with your customers because they'll see exactly what you look like and what the shop looks like. So you can do this, you can record yourself, or in the next section, I'm about to break down exactly how I create those AI generated videos. So to create the voiceover for our ceramic coating special, we're basically just gonna use this company called 11 Labs. I've found them to be the best solution, and coincidentally, or fortunately, they're also very cheap, all right? So I think it's like $5 for their cheapest plan, which gives you 10,000 characters. And so what we have right here is just a very simple end of our script. And I would use the voice Adam. I mean, this is what basically everyone uses on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on Facebook, YouTube. And I think it's really built up a feeling of trust because people have heard it so many times, trust and familiarity. So I would go for Adam on 11 Labs, and then you can type in whatever you want and just click generate and it'll give you that script. So here we are in the video editing timeline. Now you may not want to do this. You can download an app on your phone called CapCut that can edit. It's a really good editing app. If you don't want to edit, don't worry, I'm going to include a video like this for free. But here we have what it actually looks like. So down here is the voiceover. We have some music, some sound effects for that bullet. And then we've put in the clips to coincide with what we're talking about. So here we're talking about the protection, how it's like, bulletproof glass. I like using this metaphor. Then we're using some satisfying, visual hooks here, some things that, are satisfying to watch to keep people retained. And yeah, and then we're also, breaking down the benefits here for the show. So that's exactly how you, put all this stuff together. I always do it by what's gonna, relate to what we're talking about the most. And then in the next step, we just have to add captions. So here's that video that we just created.
The ultimate protection.
I'm gonna mute it, but you can see we've added captions. There's an app that you can get on your phone that's very easy to download. It's called Captions, and it's like $10 a month, but you can add these amazing captions in literally like 5 seconds. It's very fast. And that's all we do. We put it in the app, we add some captions, and then we are ready to rip with this video. So now that we've actually created our ad, all that's left to do is really upload it. So we're gonna go, make sure you select single image or video, add video. We're gonna select the video we just made, and then we'll leave it. So you wanna put original because it's gonna fill in these blank gaps with kind of a blurred out version, which is gonna look good so it fills up the whole area. Make sure you turn off music. I don't know why they started doing this. Even if you have a voiceover, they'll put music. Look at this. Our beautiful script that we just worked so hard on, they're literally just ruining it. So standard enhancements, get rid of that stupid music, and then press done. Your video's on there. Again, we want to make sure we have some text here, and I will provide that, but this is really simple. It's not rocket science here. And we are basically ready to go. Set your ad for at least $5 a day. I recommend $10, $20, $30 a day, and we're all good to set. We're all good to go. All right, so now it's time to make some money, and the first thing you need is a CRM, especially for ceramic coating, PPF, window tint. These are high-ticket jobs. You actually need a way to keep track of all your deals, all right? So what a CRM does is really, if you've heard of HubSpot or Pipedrive or Salesforce, those are some of the biggest ones. What it does is it organizes everything. And I mean, it really gives you three key benefits. So the first is integration. So you can actually have everything in the same place: phone calls, emails, texts, Facebook messages, Instagram DMs, Google reviews. Everything is in one place, so you can easily manage it. Organization, so you can keep track of all your deals. And then finally, automation. And this is what really is going to set yourself apart, is that you're so able to be organized. All right, that's the hardest thing that every shop struggles with, is actually being organized and following up with their leads as much as they need to. So here's my favorite CRM, and on the integrations page you can see all the integrations we have. So first we can integrate your Google account, so we can send automatic review requests, and we can have messages from Google My Business come into the same place. Then we have your Facebook and Instagram account, which is really important for getting the leads from there. We also have a TikTok account, same thing for leads, LinkedIn for leads, although that's some pretty boring stuff. Stripe, Shopify, all these important integrations, and this is the first thing that makes it so powerful. So with Facebook and Instagram, we'll take forms that we have, like that form we created earlier in our Facebook account. Whenever someone fills that form out, we're going to get that lead sent straight into our CRM, and then we can use the automations for later. Now, the next part of this is actually the organization, and as you can see, this is a pipeline, and we have the whole thing organized based on the stage that this person is in. So new leads, these are people who just came in. They're actually going to be in this first stage, so we know exactly who to follow up with. Once we've hit them once, their first touch, second touch, third touch, obviously the third time we hit them. And then conversating is people we're in conversation with. They haven't gotten a quote yet, and we're still, learning about them, doing the discovery. Then quoted once we've done the proposal, and then scheduled obviously is people who we've booked in. All right, so this allows us to keep track of everything. And now, whenever we come into the shop in the morning or the afternoon, we can literally just go in here and start scrolling through our pipeline and calling whoever we need to call instead of having to go through your messages. This is a much easier way to handle that. But then the third and final thing that makes this so powerful is the amount of automations that we have running on this account, okay? So we can have all of these different things that fire off, that do work for us, that send messages, that move people around for us. And especially like when we have a new lead come in, we're literally going to have this entire workflow set off, all right? So they'll fire off a form submission, and then we're gonna save the information to their contact. We're gonna save a note with all the information they submitted, which would be like, urgency, the questions we asked them in the form, year, make, and model. Then we're gonna create an opportunity in the pipeline. We're gonna wait a minute. We're gonna send a notification to ourselves. We're also going to send a notification to them so they know we're going to reach out, and then we'll mark them as run red so they go to the top of our messages. So we're doing all of this automatically without having to do anything, and this is where this starts to get extremely powerful. Now, after a lead comes into our system, the first thing we want to do is give them a call and get them on the phone as soon as possible, all right? So what we're going to do is we're going to reach out to them, and most people won't even pick up. They're probably busy, earning the money they're going to give us. So what we do is we call once, then we call again to make sure that they know we're not spammers. Spammers only call once typically. We call twice. Sometimes that'll break through their silent as well, their silent mode on their phone. And then if they still don't pick up, we're going to send them into this workflow, which is literally going to follow up. It's going to leave them a voicemail and 2 texts. So that we don't have to do all the work of texting them every time or leaving a voicemail, and we can hit people just like that with a much more engaging follow-up. If they miss 3 contacts, then we're actually going to send them a voicemail, another follow-up, and then we're going to have a bunch of different texts. So this is about 30 days worth of AI-generated text based on the car and the service they're interested in, just to really make sure that they are interested, to see if we can get a response. And so here we are in a conversation with John Spector here, and let's just say we called him a couple times and he finally picked up. We go, hey John, are you free right now so we could get you some more information and give you a quote for your 2022 Range Rover? And let's just say he says he's busy. Well, we want to make sure that we actually have enough time to go through everything with John so he sees the value. So we're going to say, all right, perfect, John. I'm going to give you a call tonight at 7 p.m. Does that work for you? And most of the time, 7 p.m. is a good time. So they'll say, yeah, that works for me. All right, sounds good. So I'm going to book you in. And then when you actually book in an appointment here, it's going to send them a confirmation, and it's also going to send them reminders leading up to that appointment, okay? So I just got a text on my phone here, appointment confirmation, and that's the one that's sent out here, right? And then he'll also be able to add it to his calendar. So that way we know exactly when we're going to talk to this person instead of, if we call him up and he says, oh, call me back tomorrow, which is a terrible way to follow up, and that never ends up working out, right? Okay, now that we get John on the phone about a ceramic coating job, we have to use a very carefully crafted script because we want to actually maximize this conversation and make sure we can get a deal closed. So the first thing we do is we just say, hey John, this is Adam again with Shop Drive. I'm calling about the information you submitted. Is now a good time for me to get you some more information about that, special offer and give you a quote, right? Remember, that's the carrot we're dangling. And then you have to do something very important called framing, all right? So you set the stage for the remaining steps, and you tell them exactly how the conversation goes. You make sure that you tell them, you have to ask them some questions, and at the end you're gonna give them a quote, and then you make sure that's okay with them, all right? A lot of people, some people are gonna be like, kind of hard to get to agree to that, but this is very important because it's going to be hard to sell them if they're just bombarding you with questions the entire time. So you want to make sure you're in charge of this conversation. All right, now we have to figure out why they're interested in a ceramic coating or PPF or window tint or all of them in the first place, all right? So, the easiest way to find that out is just to ask them, what had you interested in the first place? Usually they didn't know anything, and then they saw the ad and they were like, wow, that seems really cool. That's a good ad, right? And then that's perfect. So you say, okay, what benefit interested you the most, right? And once you get the benefit, you have to know, that's going to give you ammunition for later when you're presenting the product. So you can, reference that and say, yeah, this is going to be perfect for solving that problem and giving you that benefit that you're looking for, right? And then, you can ask them some other questions about taking care of it to kind of probe about the other benefits like ease of maintenance or protection or, resale value, retention. And so you just ask a few questions to figure out what is their situation like and what are they actually looking for from the solution. So you got to bear with me for a second here, but if you don't do this, if you skip this step like most shop owners do, it'll be like, if that customer walks into a doctor's office, they're like, hey doctor, my knee hurts. And they're like, all right, that's a torn meniscus. It's going to be $250,000. We can do the surgery right now if you like. And that person just like, you don't even need to look at it, right? You need to figure out what's wrong with it, right? You can't just assume that. And so that client is looking for someone to really understand them and look at their situation and be the expert, suggest something perfect. The other terrible thing I see shop owners do is where they ask the customer, they say, so do you want a 1-year ceramic coating? Do you want PPF? Do you want window tint? And they're just asking that customer. The customer has no idea. You know way more than them. They secretly, they may tell you, they may not tell you. They want you to recommend a solution that's going to fit them perfectly, all right? Because you are the expert. So make sure you're doing this discovery so that they feel like you have enough information to give them a good recommendation. All right, so now we're on to selecting the product and presenting the value. So what you always want to do here is always start to present the highest price option or the most expansive basically package, right? So for basically everyone, they're going to get the most value from a full package, full PPF, full ceramic coating, ceramic window tint, the whole 9 yards. Not everyone can afford that, but that would be the best option for, protecting their vehicle, right? So you want to suggest that solution and really go through basically everything. First you want to talk about, what it is you're actually offering them, what is that solution, and then how it's going to fix their pain points. And you want to make sure you use a lot of metaphors here to kind of, explain to them, because you're telling them over the phone. You have to kind of explain it to them without being able to show them. So you can say, it turns your car into a non-stick pan for ceramic coating. Then you want to talk about your installation process. So I have basically some copy here that's going to say, we don't cut corners. We try to make sure our customers are extremely happy. And then talk about the installation steps and try to keep this short as well, but make it very appealing for them. So paint correction, you want to keep it simple. Everyone's heard of polishing, so you say we just polish the paint to make sure that the scratches go away, and even if you have a new car, we make sure it looks better than new, right? You can say things like that to kind of anchor them and hook them on an idea that they're attracted to, right? And then you can also talk about the difference from like wax. If it's ceramic coating, you got to address that difference. Most people don't know, so you got to say, hey, the reason that a ceramic coating is going to cost more than wax is because for this reason, and it's way more, it's way better in these ways. Then finally, you want to go over your differentiating factors. So you're going to ask like, you're going to tell them, here's what we do that you can't get anywhere else, right? So, you Uber them to and from the shop, you give them a free detail with a high ticket job, you have a detailing membership program, right? All these things are going to add value to them. And then at the end of this whole presentation, which should probably take you at least 5 minutes, you're going to say, I know there's a lot of information. Besides the quote, which we're about to get into, what questions do you have so far? That sets the expectation that it's okay to have questions. And you're saying, what questions do you have so far? Because you want to make sure that you get all of their product questions out of the way before you drop the price in the next step. And now finally, we move on to making the proposal. So you're just going to tell them, hey, John, we can get your vehicle completed in about 2 days, and we could get you in by next Wednesday. And then you're going to talk about the price, okay? So I do some anchoring here. Remember that you're presenting them with the highest priced option. And so you're going to say, basically talk about what it would normally cost or what your competition might charge. But at the end of the day, you just want to say, all right, in total, it's going to be $2,400. And then you just wait for them to respond, all right? And basically every single time they're going to have an objection or a complaint. Most people are not just going to, give you the down payment on the spot. But this is where most detailers and shop owners fall off, is because they don't try to close people. They only, hear the objection at the end. Oh, that's way too much money, right? And then they just, they just give up, right? But there's always going to be some sort of resistance when you drop the price, because most people have no idea what the price is and they don't expect it to be that high. So the whole point of closing is you have to become a problem solver. You have to listen to what they're saying, ask questions, and figure out a solution. So, if they tell you, hey, that's too much money, I can't afford it, well, what's amazing is you suggested the highest tier solution. So you can say, I definitely understand that, and if you think that price is too high, what we could do is drop you down to this package, which you're still going to get X and Y, and it's going to be only this price, which now that second price that you drop is going to seem way lower, even if it would seem high at first, because it's compared to that first very high price that you dropped. Now, I definitely understand that you don't want to, burn your leads. You don't want to make people mad by just asking them a bunch of questions and not leaving them alone, which is why we have a couple other calendars booked in here, okay? So basically, after a call, they're either going to say, they have to think about it, they have to ask their wife or their husband or their mom or their dog or their magic 8-ball, or they need to look at their finances. There's going to be some sort of delay that they need to put on, and it's because they're unsure, they're uncertain about one thing. One thing or a few things, right? And so there's two ways you can go with this. First, you could schedule in a consultation where you actually see them in person and take a look at their car, show them the product and the solution, and get to know them a bit better. And it's a lot easier to close someone in person. Or you could just book in a second phone call if you think they're pretty close to closing and they just need to, ask their wife or whatever. You can follow up the next day with a phone call. So let's say we talked to John for, 30 minutes about ceramic coating. He had a bunch of questions, but he still didn't close. He had to ask his wife. So scenario one is we'll say, John, I definitely understand you need to ask your wife about this, and I want to make sure that your wife is as on board with this as you are. So let's book in a consultation. You can come by the shop. I'm going to set aside 30 minutes on Saturday at 10 a.m. Just make sure that, works with him, obviously. I'm going to set aside 30 minutes at 10 a.m. to go through everything with you in person. You're going to get to know them a lot better, and you can take the down payment there in person. Way easier than sending them a link, over text, which you should never do, by the way. But you want to make sure you choose a specific time. Lots of shop owners will say, hey, just, come by the shop later this week, later next week. No one ever does come by because they get busy, right? You want to book in a specific time and make them feel obligated to show up at that time. The other scenario is, say you talk for 30 minutes about a ceramic coating, and he just has to, get back in town. Say he's out of town and he won't put a down payment down until he gets back, right? You're going to book in a follow-up call. And so this is just a time that you say, hey, John, I'm going to give you a call at this time. Instead of putting a reminder in your phone or just hoping you'll remember to call him, the next week or whatever, you'll put in an actual time so you guys both know that's when you're going to be talking. So you put in a time in the calendar, John, let's talk, 8 a.m. on Tuesday. And then you just book in the appointment. He gets the same type of confirmation and the same type of reminders with all the other appointments. And that's how you'll actually be able to get on the phone with him again and follow up. Now, with these appointments scheduled in, there's a couple things that could go wrong. So if they miss one of these appointments, if they have a consultation or a follow-up or a discovery booked in and they skip it, they forget, or they're busy, then what we do is we put them into one of these workflows. So we literally, you call them a couple times, they don't pick up, leave a voicemail, and then this will automatically send out a text. And for literally like a month, it's going to send AI generated texts that, go along with the conversation you were having. Hey, John, did you get a chance to talk to your wife yet? Right. And this is just going to keep following up with them to make sure that you don't miss out on that lead if you don't get a chance to call them again. Right. So this eliminates the work that you have to do of remembering things. But let's say that we're finally at the end now and we have taken, John says, all right, I'm ready to get started. Let's go. Then you say, all right, perfect. Pay this invoice. What's your card number, right? Get them to read it out over the phone. Don't take it. Don't send them an invoice and hope they'll pay it because a lot of those go unpaid. And then what you're going to do is schedule them in for an appointment. Same type of deal. They get reminders and everything. But once you're finished with the job, you can just mark them as one in your pipeline. It's going to save all these important things like LTV, lifetime customer value, update that. But it's also going to send a review request. So every single job you do, you're going to easily be able to get a review request without having to type out the message yourself or remember to do it. It's literally going to go out automatically at 6 p.m. when they're able to go on their phone and leave a review. So I hope you've gotten a ton of value from this video, and I hope I answered a lot of your questions about what we do and how this whole thing works with advertising and bringing in and closing more jobs. And of course, like I said, I'm going to be giving away a lot of this stuff for free. Just click the button there. I'm going to be putting this video in a few different places, so there'll be a button or a link somewhere around this video. You can get in touch with us and let us know what you need, and we'll be happy to give it to you for free because obviously this stuff works. I wouldn't be sharing it if it didn't work, and so I want you to try it out. And I think after you try it out, you'll want to pay me some money to keep getting newer iterations of it. So anyways, that's it for this video, and please let me know what you think. Please do get in touch. Love to help you grow your shop.